Astra Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last week, I thought I was going to die as we sat in here and talked about the worst mom, the worst character, and one of the five sinners, Daughter, aka Gold. This week, we're going to talk about the almost knight, Noelle.
Are you an acting grandmaster looking for a doormat? Looking for some free labor? Your own little personal task rabbit? Well, look no further. Noelle is here, and she has her own page with visuals for this episode on our website. That's talesofteyvat.com.
While you're on our site, check out our past episodes and seasons, artist spotlights from the community for every topic, and some other goodies.
Finally, feel free to email us at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let us know what you think of this week's episode and what topics you'd like to see in the future. If you don't like this episode, you can leave your mail with Albedo.
He's going to get rid of our mail now.
I gave him specific instructions. Otherwise, travelers, you can also feel free to check us out on YouTube, where we do upload some videos. We're Tales of Teyvat Pod over there. Or you can feel free to visit our Ko-fi, where you can buy us a cup of coffee or a Diet Pepsi, depending on who you want to caffeinate. If you want to caffeinate Tiff, you say coffee. You want to caffeinate Brandon or Amanda, you say Diet Pepsi.
I'll take a Diet Dr. Pepper, too.
Same, honestly, but I'll stick to the Pepsi to differentiate us. Anyway, we are going to talk about Noelle today, but I feel like Noelle recently had a pretty big task. And, you know, as she is the maid of the knights, I feel like she definitely helped bring all of the musical instruments to the Genshin Impact concerts that have been going on. They definitely used her and her super strength to load that stuff up around Earth. So we three were very lucky. We actually went to the Genshin Orchestra concert in New York, and it was a lot of fun. It was different than the last year's one, though. We went last year together as well with some of our friends. What did you guys think of this year's in comparison?
I loved it because we got more of the regions. So they did have to condense the regions and play fewer songs from each one, but we still got more because we got stuff from Sumeru and Fontaine. And I think last year we just got a few songs from Sumeru and one or two from Fontaine, right?
Yeah, I think Fontaine was the teaser at the end.
Yeah. So this time we got a full Sumeru segment, a full Fontaine segment, and then for the encore we got a couple Natland songs.
I enjoyed it a lot. This year it was at the theater at Madison Square Garden, which is a bigger venue, and it makes sense that they did that because they did sell out very quickly last year. My only problem being a little bit of an orchestra snob, I guess, maybe. Sound snob. The acoustics are just very different. So that's my only complaint, is that the theater at Madison Square Garden, it's made for recorded music or for live bands and stuff like that, but I felt like it was better at Carnegie Hall or at another place made for symphony orchestra.
Right.
But that's me being extremely nitpicky. I loved it. I guess my only one gripe would be that last year we got primos, we got a glider, and then our little goodies. And this year we just got the little goodies. And someone pointed out, we didn't even get something to put in our teapot.
Yeah, we just got little ticket thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the character acrylic thing, it's like a frame almost.
Yeah, like a mini frame.
Yeah, we'll put pictures up of what we're talking about.
But I will say one of the coolest parts about the whole thing actually was that we got to meet two of our fans of the show. One randomly found me in the hallway and I'm very sorry that I didn't catch your name. I was just actually extremely excited that you saw I was wearing my Tales of Teyvat t-shirt. They recognized me or recognized the shirt and started talking to me, and it was the very cool moment.
Yeah, totally weird too, because you're like, what?
Yeah, I was like, excuse me?
You know this?
Yes. And then we got to meet the wonderful Kimiko, who anybody who is a part of our Discord very much knows them, because they're very active in our Discord and they're always showing us fantastic artwork and they're very engaged in there. And it was fantastic to, get to meet them. And
yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, Kimiko also asks a lot of really great questions during our Kirara mail segments.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I was going to say about this concert compared to last year was that we were encouraged to make noise for our favorite characters when they would come up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I wasn't surprised by the popularity contest and like who seemed to win, except for one. I was not expecting Alhaitham. I felt like I could be wrong, but I felt like he got the loudest reaction.
Yeah, it was so funny. Tiff and I actually talked about this with Vanessa, who went with us, and Vanessa said that Alhaitham was the top until Nouvellette happened.
Yes.
Yeah, Nouvellette did get a loud reaction, but it was different because Nouvellette, they just showed him for like a minute the first time they showed him, so it was like super loud, but it wasn't as long because he quickly was like off the screen and they were like moving on to other characters. But yeah, I bet if they had stayed on him the first time they showed him, it probably would have.
My favorite thing was, and Vanessa is our friend who's been on the podcast a few times talking about Fischl and Honkai and everything, and she was sitting in front of us and she turns around and she goes, "They're gonna show Nouvellette soon, you better prepare yourself." I was like, what? And then Nouvellette came on the screen and I was like, I was like, oh shit, she was right.
What was your favorite part of the show, by the way?
Well, my least favorite part was that there was no Albedo, there was no Tignari. Neither of them were even shown. Like, they did this whole, like, montage of Fontaine where they showed, like, every single character, right? But then they showed Alhaitham and Cyno, didn't show either of their boyfriends. And then I felt like their Mondstadt pick was so random. Mondstadt had the least amount of songs, which I get. But they showed, out of all the characters they could have showed, they did Venti, which made sense. And then they did Eula.
And they showed a lot of Razor, too.
Oh, yeah, and they did Razor's dead parent event.
Yeah.
Razor's dead parents made an appearance, and Albedo didn't.
I loved that, though. It was so unexpected. And we got so much Mondstadt last time, so I was fine with it. I appreciated that they changed it up because some of the other regions, it was repeats, you know?
That's true. If I had to pick favorite parts, honestly, Lantern Rite, every year when they play a Lantern Rite song, I get goosebumps.
Yeah, that one always works on me too.
Of course, I loved getting to see, they did like 3 different child moments. I thought it was really cool that they did play the beginning of the Narwhal fight song. They didn't play the dubstep.
Unfortunately.
No one could dubstep up there, apparently.
Somebody could have.
There was no mix track up there. But it was cool. Child was there a lot, and I almost feel like that's Hoyo trying to foreshadow that he'll be back.
Oh, yeah. There was just like Child, like every moment of the game that Child has been in was at this show.
Yeah, basically.
Except for the Paper Man. That's the only one I think.
Yeah.
But anything that was like an important part of like anything that was Archon story related. But I agree with what you said. Like what they did with Fontaine, I thought was really nice. They showed a lot more of everybody, like little like snippets and stuff. That would have been nice to see a little bit more throughout. But it felt like they were doing important moments in the story.
Yeah. They played 60 songs.
Yeah.
They also did another surprise that I was not expecting was the Chasm event. I was not expecting that. The one with Yanfei and Kuki
and Zhao and Yelan.
Yeah.
Everybody yelled for Ito, and I was just like, I looked at Fiends and I go, it was for Kuki.
Yeah.
It also was so random though, because like they were going in order of the nations, and then they literally finished Inazuma and then went to the Chasm, and I was like, what?
That's how it was released though, right?
Yeah, that's how it was released.
So they didn't show any dragons, fine.
I wish there had been some Economia.
I was just gonna say, Tip, were you sad you didn't get any Sea of Bygone eras?
I was extremely sad about that. Especially because they did have a Natlan teaser. So I was like, that place is like based on music. And they didn't put it in the music show.
I think with the thing is, and I know this is a pipe dream, but I would love for them to do a concert based on on each nation. They could. If they wanted to, they could do a Mondstadt concert, and
like, if they wanted to.
If they wanted to, they could fill MSG's theater again with just Mondstadt fans.
Or they could go back to do like Carnegie Hall, have a smaller audience, and do it for like 5 nights.
One of my other favorite moments was the very last song they played during the encore, where they created a special video of our little dinosaur. Our little Saurian, where they're like marching across Natlan, and then they get to like one of those like Wyob boss things, and it like activates, and then it turns around and runs away.
It's like, fuck that.
It's like, no, I'm not doing this.
It was adorable.
I do have to say though, Dawei's listening somewhere to us being like, they should do more concerts. They should do this. They should do this. And he's like, listen to the fucking soundtrack on Spotify.
Yeah. That's why we have all of them out.
He's like, you got an OST, go listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the concert was great as per usual. And it was really a good atmosphere. A lot of cosplay, a Prima Gem.
Everybody did a fantastic job, whether it was a full-on cosplay or an inspired by. It was phenomenal.
Remember the Kave bunny?
So cute. There were two beautiful cosplayers that were friends, I think. So if you are listening, y'all looked great. It was a Farina in like a witch fit, and then a Tignari in like a lab coat. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
Chef's kiss. It was amazing, both of them. So, but anyway, as per usual, Noelle is feeling left behind right now.
Oh,
I mean,
it's fitting.
Absolutely fitting. She's just kind of doing the most and getting the least.
Mm-hmm.
Was not in the concert.
Nope.
No.
We're just talking about a concert instead of her. But so Noelle, at the heart of things, right? She's a maid.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it says on paper.
Yeah.
She is a young gal living her life in Mondstadt, trying to pursue her dream of becoming a knight of Favonius and becoming the maid of Favonius instead.
Mm-hmm.
The Wonder Maid.
Yeah.
But Noelle, our first introduction to Noelle actually is just like when she gets released and you can do her hangout. It's quite simple. She's not in the Archon quest, but we do find out that Noelle wanted to be involved in the Archon quest pretty hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
I think she said she wanted to go fight the source of the evil with Storm Terror. And instead, Kaeya found a bunch of really important tasks that had to get done across the city to keep her preoccupied so that she wouldn't put herself in danger.
Which is a bunch of BS.
Is it?
She's so strong.
Okay, she is strong, but she's like a baby.
Klee is a literal baby.
Okay, but Klee isn't a real knight. She's the Spark Knight. Like, it's a fake title.
She definitely lives up to the Geo, like, dumb as a pile of rocks.
Dumb as a box of rocks.
Dumb as a box of rocks. Yeah, like, she kind of lives up to that a little bit, I've realized. Because she's so, like, and I kind of hate, like, how pathetic they sort of paint her character, where she, like, literally, like, went to Klee, a little girl who is already a knight, and is like, can you give me some tips on how to become a knight of Favonius? And then Klee, like, takes her outside and immediately starts, like, playing with bombs with her. And Noelle is such an airhead. She's like, oh, I thought this was some kind of test. Like, I thought that it was a training exercise until she gets caught by Jean playing with bombs with Klee, and then they both get sent to solitary confinement.
Imagine, sorry, the maid's not working today. She's in the timeout corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to lock her away because we thought she might commit arson.
But you know that she found a way to do all the work anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Within 5 minutes after getting out.
Yeah.
I mean, she does her whole job as being the maid to everybody in all of Mondstadt. And then at night, she goes and runs laps around Mondstadt and then gets up early in the morning and like trains and does calisthenics and stuff like that. And she's just like, yeah, I don't have any free time. If I have free time, then I should be training. And it's like, girl, you need to sit down.
She's just a girl with a dream, though.
And she's being thwarted. She's being held back by her dream. It's so sad.
I do feel like she's holding herself back, though, a little bit.
Oh, you think so?
How so?
I think what Noelle's issue is that she doesn't have a boundary with herself.
Oh, sure.
Where Jean will know when to call in reinforcements. Kaeya knows when to back out of a battle. Amber knows when it's time to, back off. Like, they all have control to say, this is not a one-man job. This is something I can't rush into. Noelle is so excited still, probably because of her young age, that they're worried for her. I mean, they tell this whole story about how she heard that this man was stuck in a cave on Dragonspine. And so she rushed up to Dragonspine, and by the time she found him, her coat was drenched, which I would love to see her coat. Just saying.
Yeah.
But her coat was drenched. The like one bottle of like Dasani water she brought with her was frozen. And she was like starving and thirsty and tired. And instead of saying, all right, I should make a fire, or, you know, maybe I should look for albedo on Dragonspine, she said, nah, I'm literally going to carry this man back to Mondstadt. And that's what she did. And then she was in bed for 3 days with a fever. And that was when Jean said, all right, I get it. I get she wants to be a knight. I really do. But we can't have this happen again. And Kaeya got put on Noelle duty, which Kaeya always gets these weird fucking jobs. Like, this isn't really a job for a knight, but I'm kind of make you the big brother of everyone in the knights. And Jean said, you're in charge of making sure that she doesn't get into trouble like this again. Hence why Kaeya distracted her.
Yeah, like, give her busy work.
Yes, and that's why Kaeya distracted her during Storm Terror.
I mean, that really kind of irritates me. Like, I feel mad at Jean over that because she knows how much she wants to become a knight. We know she has like super strength, basically. So why wouldn't Jean take the time, take her under her wing and like make her better?
What time?
I know she doesn't have time, but like she could have tasked Kaeya with training her more or something instead of giving her busy work.
Or give her other jobs.
It feels a little insulting, you know. I feel bad for Noelle.
But Noelle keeps failing the test. Like, there's a test that you have to take.
Is she, though?
Yeah, it's a written test. Like, it's not like they're, like, watching her twirl and they're like, points off. Your shoe looked too nice. She's failing a written test. And I think that written test is showing that she is just going in without thinking. And that's where her airheadedness comes in.
I was going to say, because she's such an airhead.
Yeah.
I mean, she actually believes that Fischl is from another world.
Yeah, she does.
I think Jean just doesn't want to get a new maid.
No, I don't think that's it at all.
I wonder that too, Tiff, because she's such like she is the Wonder Maid. I mean, she does so much cleaning. She does everyone's laundry. She does like everything.
She helps everybody in that city.
Yeah. And Kaeya even said that Jean's job is the most stressful, but that Noelle's is by far the busiest. So she actually does more work than Jean.
Does more busy work than Jean. Here's my thing. I actually think that Jean is being nice by allowing Noelle to have any part in the Knights of Favonius. I think Jean does see how much Noelle wants to be involved, but she keeps failing the test. And so Jean, I feel like Jean made a spot for her.
She can make her an honorary knight then.
Why? What? The only person who's an honorary knight is us.
Well, isn't Klee? Did you say
Klee's a
she's
spark knight.
Well, what is that?
It means we had to make Klee feel included because she's 8.
Well, maybe they should make Noelle feel included so she keeps cleaning their houses.
They did. She made her the maid of Favonius. Jean didn't have to do that. Jean could have said, bye-bye, Noelle, go home.
Can't they just like give her a title though? Like, you are the maid knight.
She's the Wonder Maid. It's a title. Lisa doesn't go by knight, and she's in the Knights of Favonius. She's a librarian by title.
I love it when they talk about like her constant pursuit of perfection, because she really, even though she keeps failing at her test, she actually really is a perfectionist. So she, in terms of her maid duties, is just so precise and perfect at it. And they talk about how if you were to ask her how to build a campfire as she passed by, she would not only stop and build the campfire for you, she would also put up the grill rack, season the food, cook it for you, taste it herself to make sure it's done, and remind you to put out the fire when you finish so you don't burn down the forest.
It's amazing, honestly.
So I guess I have a hard time believing that she can be that perfect at being a maid, but can't get it together to pass the test for the knights.
Different people have different skills. I wouldn't be able to be a maid.
I'm just saying, if Klee can do it, how hard can it be?
But Klee, I don't think Klee's title is real. Like, I really think that Klee's title is just like a way of being like, oh, your brother's in the Knights. You are too.
I think she's probably just a Nepo baby, and Alice somehow bribed her way. She was like, so you knights probably need some ammunition, some supplies. I could hook you up if you make my daughter a knight.
And then they were like, all right. Klee. And they like look at her and they're like, this girl literally is the reason we need the knights.
Yeah.
She keeps blowing everything up.
Oh my God.
But, you know, all to say, though, too, is Noelle is very young. And now age has never stopped anyone from becoming a knight, sans Klee. She's not considered in this pool. We know Diluc was a young knight. We know Jean and Kaeya were both young knights.
Mm-hmm.
I think Noelle's age comes into play here, almost to where she might not necessarily be mature enough for it.
Right.
And, you know, in one voice line, she says that she's too young to drink. And I think we can assume that she's under 18 because in Germany, the drinking age is 18. So we're going to just assume Mondstadt's drinking age is 18. Otherwise, you have to assume that she's under 16 because isn't that like the other European drinking age?
Yeah. And I know Amber mentions in a voice line that she's younger than us. So we know she's definitely younger than Amber.
She's younger than Amber?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
I think, like, if I had to guess, my assumption is that Amber is 17 or 18. Or Amber could be anywhere from 17 to 19, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm,
so I think that means
right.
Noelle could be anywhere from like 14 to 17.
She can't be 14.
Look at her face. Go look at that baby face. She is gorgeous, but she's a baby.
Then if she's 14, she needs to put the titties away. Jean should be giving her a shirt.
You don't see what the teens are wearing these days?
If I had a teenager, I'd be like, you need to put those titties away.
We're going to put a compilation of what teenagers are currently wearing.
No.
I mean, technically her titties aren't out. They're in armor.
Yeah, she doesn't really have like cleavage showing, right?
Not really. Maybe a little bit, actually. She might need a modesty fit. But that's the only piece of skin she has showing. So.
Right. It is a little that she's that young.
Yeah.
Say that she's 16 and then, you know, Amber's 19.
Mm-hmm. It's probably something like that.
I would say 16 has to be the youngest that she could be.
I would say 16 is for Noelle then, and Amber is 19. That would be my, like, guesstimate. But I will say that, you know, on the official, like, website for MiHoYo or for Genshin, it says that, like most young people, she wants to be a knight. So even the website is like, she's a child. But or a youth of sorts. And Jean doesn't think she's ready to see what's beyond Mondstadt's walls.
But she's also been taking the test to become a knight. She's taken it, I think it said years ago, she was failing it for the 7th time.
Yeah.
Yep, when she got her vision.
So they must let kids take this test, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or else they'd be like, you're not old enough to take the test.
Interesting. I mean, they need all the knights they can get. That's the other thing. Like, can't you just use her as like cannon fodder? Like, just let her be a knight. Like, you have like no one in the city to guard it.
I mean, we have a cavalry captain with no cavalry.
Yeah.
But I think that shows too how much they do want to protect the people, right? Because they could be like, all right, we're going to one-up Shishnaya and we're going to make our own child slaves. And we're going to make them all knights. Like, but
like if Inazuma can do it.
Oh my God.
Child knights, child slaves, it's all child warfare without an E. I have a lot of respect for Jean. And so I'm going to defend her this whole episode. I think that Jean doesn't want to just throw people that aren't ready into war. And I think Jean knows that something is coming. And I think she would rather have 6 great knights than 30 haphazard knights.
I'm just saying, if we get to the end of this game and she's still not a knight, I'm going to be really pissed. Like, just give her her knighthood. Just do it.
I think that if it comes to it, she will fight like a knight regardless if she has to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she already does, right? She goes to Dragon Spine. She takes the test. She does everything.
I mean, the gods gave her a vision.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about her vision. She was not necessarily a happy camper when she got her vision.
No, she was going to give up on her dreams because they were being crushed by Jean.
Okay, whoa. So she had failed her test for the 7th time.
It's all perspective, Beans, all perspective.
She was crying, it sounds like, outside the Knight's headquarters. Like, woe is me, blah, blah, blah. And then Jean walks out. And she literally goes, Jean just graded my test and failed me. She's like,
Yeah.
I know this bitch just failed me. And she's so sad, but this is also like her hero. And she salutes Jean. And Jean salutes her back. And then she got a fucking vision. I think it was like the wear-all, you know, to be like, that she's not the one failing me, I'm failing me. I still should respect Jean.
And then she gets even more dejected when she gets a Geo vision instead of Animo.
Yeah.
Like, poor Noelle. I mean, damn.
She literally goes, Geo's the furthest from Animo, which
Yeah.
is wind, rock. But also, it seems like she has a respects Barbados, unlike some other people.
Right. Rosaria.
Yeah, like she really wanted an Animo vision.
Barnabas, yeah.
Barnabas.
Oh, Barnabas, whatever. Barbara. She's like,
She makes
amen,
it up
Barbara.
every time.
She really wanted an Animo vision because she thought it would make her closer to her god and to the knights. And she also has a voice line where she says, "Can you hear the Animo Archon's voice on the breeze? It calms me down whenever I get flustered." So I think she has a high respect for Venti, who's over there like drunk at Cat's Tail, asking her to like wash his clothes.
Yeah, little does she know she's washing his underwear.
Yeah, or his diaper. Cleaning throw up off of his shirt. But Noelle, outside of her want to be a knight, she is good at her job. So, Noelle wants to be a knight, but she's a great maid. And she does a lot of really good things. She, like, for instance, she is an amazing chef.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And despite the fact that her signature food is lighter than air pancakes, that's her specialty, her favorite fucking food is a salad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the satisfying salad.
And she's like, I've been eating it for 10 years. I'm like, bro, what 9-year-old is eating salad by choice?
She helps make all the food for Ludi Harpastum. And it's all full of fried foods and goodness, like fair food and stuff like that. And after the month of Ludi Harpastum, she gets really upset with herself because she has a bulging belly because she ate so much. So like for a month, she like starves herself and like does extra training. So that's probably why she loves a salad. She's very body conscious.
Because she taste tests all the food for Ludi Harpatsum, right? She's got to make sure it's like up to standards.
Yeah, I mean, she tastes everything she makes before she gives it to anybody.
She cooks it, and taste tests all of it.
And I think she just really likes it too.
Yeah, she is very concerned about her weight.
She would be good friends with Ayaka.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Ayaka's not as concerned about her weight as much as her brother is, which is a bit of my headcanon.
That would be really cute to get her and Toma together to like swap tips on being a maid,
A maid off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, stop.
Like just chatting about what feather dusters they use.
Wait, who do you think the maids are in the other nations? Like, if you had a guess.
In Fontaine, it's definitely Promenade and Lenny and Lynette.
Yeah, all three of them.
Just waiting, on Arlecchino all the time.
And then Liyue?
Yeah.
It's Kaching and Ganyu. I feel like they just unintentionally become the maids.
Yeah.
And Yao Yao.
And Yao Yao.
I could see her doing that.
Who in Sumeru?
Kale.
She's just sweeping up Gandharvaville.
I just feel like it would be Kave. Like, he needs to make some kind of money somewhere.
I mean, he is Alhaitham's maid.
Mm-hmm.
That's valid.
That's very true.
Otherwise, it's Sino just in a maid costume trying to impress Tignari on their anniversary. Like, I'm here to clean.
Notland, yeah. I mean, might as well give it to Auroron. He's already making all the vegetables.
I don't know. I feel like it's Kachina. They're just putting the kids to work.
Yeah.
Like, you got nothing better to do. Clean. But anyway.
Another person in Mondstadt who would be one is her new bestie, Mika, that she got to know during the poetry event.
Yeah, they became pretty decent friends, right?
They were very cutesy, awkwardly over courteous to each other.
Yeah. It was flirtatious, right? Like in a budding romance kind of young adult kind of way.
I felt that way.
Yeah, that's how I took it too. Mika is also very he flatters her a lot. Mm-hmm. He thinks that she's amazing and that he calls her a hero and is just super appreciative of all of the hard work she does for the knights.
Right.
And she's like, stop.
Mika's also my brother's a knight. He's trying to really get into her good graces.
He's probably going to be the one that somehow gets her into knighthood.
You're like, we need her.
Yeah. I'll take her with me to go help out Varka, Jean, and you can just, you can wash your own panties.
Well, actually, Noelle asked Varka if she could go with him on his expedition.
Mm-hmm.
He said no, that he wanted her to stay back to take care of things in Mondstadt. But then she slowly started to realize that he actually told everyone that he's told no to. He's like, no, I trust you to be back home. We need you back home.
He's also sexist.
These are like all the rejects.
Yeah, basically.
All of the people we play in this game are the rejects of the knighthood.
Yeah. Poor Kaeya.
I don't know. Varka to me is still like a chauvinistic pig.
Oh, yeah.
It gets worse the more I think about it. And I feel like the more anybody challenges me on it, I make it even worse. Like in my mind.
Your head.
If they ever bring him into this game, he better live up to my expectations because I'm going to be so disappointed. Not that I would be happy about a chauvinistic pig, but
they like make him like playable, and Tiff is like, I was so disappointed. He's not a chauvinist.
Yeah.
He's like a halfway decent guy. What the
fuck? The one who's like fine with murder, but fuck that guy.
But Tiff's willing to play as Arlecchino.
I love Arlecchino. Worst mothers in the game.
No, we learned last week there's one worse.
Gold.
Oh, yes, that's true. Gold.
She's not playable yet.
If she is, she's going to be on my team.
No, what the fuck? No.
Well, because I have to have all the bad moms. It's like Bad Moms Club. I also said I was going to punt the children. I'm not a very good representation of motherhood.
That's okay.
You're definitely getting Alice too then, right?
No. Oh my God. All the bad moms. So just to go back a little bit to Noelle, rounding up her kitchen love. Noelle's also a big fan of tea. She's very well known for making tea, and she loves the smell of wine. Do you think that's just like what happens when you're from Mondstadt? Like you just like the smell of wine?
Yeah, it is odd that she just like, I'm too young to drink, but I really like the smell of wine. Like, what?
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, like, what does the dandelion wine smell like? Like, it must smell so sweet.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's being brewed all the time there, it smells like home. It's like, like sometimes like you smell like a certain cookie and that reminds you of when you were a kid. They're always brewing wine. You're going to smell it, or at least like the ingredients of it.
Right.
I also remembered one more thing. I am so sorry. I'm backtracking again.
Back it up.
Can we go back to Mika and the poetry event for a second?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that we've kind of mentioned and skirted around a little bit is that Noelle has like some crazy ass super strength. Like it's weird, right? How strong she is. She's been noted to lift a china cabinet, lay it on the ground, take out a plate, and then put it back up. Lift a bookshelf so Lisa could get something from underneath it. She carried the man back to Dragon Spine.
Oh, the Lisa story is so hilarious because she was like worried about looking indecent while she bent down to pick up something that rolled under the bookcase. Which, can you just imagine? Like, I'm imagining Lisa's like, oh no, I have to bend down to get that. Oh, I hope I don't look indecent. And is like looking around all excited. Like, oh, who's looking? And then Noelle was like, no, don't worry, I got it. And then like picking the bookshelf up, and Lisa's just like, oh, thanks.
Lisa was literally like trying to get Jean to come over. She's like, I hope that my butt looks good. Just for you.
And Noelle like helps her. She's like pissed off. Like, damn it.
But Noelle, like, she has this super strength, and it's out of nowhere. Like, again, we said she's a young woman. She can't become a knight, but she has this weird strength. And I want to propose the thought that maybe she is cursed / blessed, just like the other characters that are in that event, like Shangyun and Diona and Zhao. You know, the poetry event for travelers who don't know it or don't remember it. Venti and Hu Tao become friends. What a pair. And they decide that they're going to bridge the gap between Mondstadt and Liyue, not that there really is one, and they're going to host a poetry event for the two nations. And a bunch of characters that we know participate, including Shangyun, Xingqiu, Zhao shows up, Noelle, Mika, other people I'm not mentioning. But this is when we learn all about the Spring Fairy, who's an Oceanid. And you might know the Spring Fairy as the one that cursed Diona in Springvale to be only able to make great beverages. Diona sees it as a curse. Spring Fairy saw it as a blessing. And we learned during this a little bit about, you know, how Zhao kind of sees himself as being cursed / blessed. And Zhao even suggests that Shang Yun might actually be cursed by a god. And that's why he has like the yang energy issue. Again, him seeing it as a curse, but it's truly possibly a blessing. And so I'm curious if Noelle might also be a character like that, and that's why she shows up in the event.
Maybe. I kind of just took it as a side effect of her vision, but we don't know for sure that like her strength came around at the same time as her vision.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was before her vision.
It could be.
I don't have any proof to that, but
yeah, I wonder what god would have blessed her. Maybe it was like someone, you know, in disguise as a human that she like very enthusiastically helped one day.
Could have been Alice.
Maybe. You think she can do that?
Maybe it's an alchemy thing. We know Alice also knows alchemy. And we know from the potions event that we can make potions to make people stronger.
Maybe it's in her little maid crown thingy that she wears.
Oh my God, stop. It's all in the fit.
Yeah.
And since she never takes it off.
Literally. Just always pining to become a knight. But yeah, I don't know. That was just a thought that crossed my mind when I was reading back up about the poetry event and her involvement in it. I was like, that would be really cool if she had some curse or blessing. Because, like, I think one of the craziest stories about her strength is her almost destroying Wagner from the inside out.
She really did. She did a number on him. Because of her strength, she was learning when she was training for her knighthood that has never come. She was learning on a sword, and because of her strength, she kept going through swords. So within a few days, they would be like dull. And he was like, "Why? Like, I'm the best." And we all have met Wagner. We know he believes he's the best.
Biggest dick in Mondstadt.
Excuse me.
Or smallest with the most to prove.
So, he was like, why does this keep happening? It can't be my fault. So after all this stuff that she keeps, ruining every blade, he kind of like sat down and was like, okay, what can I do that she can't break? And he fashions her this really strong, heavy claymore that she can't break. And he is just like, here, do this. And she doesn't break it. So that's why she's actually using a claymore, is because she ruins every other weapon with her strength.
It was probably the Favonius claymore.
Maybe.
I don't know exactly do we know exactly which one it is?
I don't
know. But I think in her character, like teaser or whatever, she's shown using the Favonius one.
The reason why I tend to get a little confused too is because, one, I gave her the bell, but also we have yet to tell the story of Landa and Tia, but this little girl, she tells us that she's been reading Vera's Melancholy, and that's about the bell. So in my mind, it's all gone woofty that he made her the bell.
I mean, the bell looks good on her.
It does.
Yeah.
I accept it. I'm like, it looks good. Approve.
Therefore it is. Yeah.
So, Tiff, you teased a little bit about Lando and his daughter, Tia. And, it's funny because we mentioned that Noelle loves the smell of wine, but it seems like Noelle is always stuck in the middle of some wine industry drama.
Yes, she is.
It happens more than once.
Yeah. Inadvertently, unknowingly, saved the Mondstadt wine industry single-handedly.
Just by being nice.
Yeah, just by being overly nice. So you can learn about this story in her character story, but it's also a big part of her hangout.
Well, aren't they two different things, the hangout and this story?
Same one.
They're different people, though. Different
they're the same ones.
No, Lando is the Saiyan merchant, and then in her story and her hangout, the person's name is Azio, I believe, unless it was a nickname, Alois. They could be the same person, just a different name, but...
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
Because it's basically the same story.
It's a little different. If I read it properly, one is a Saiyan merchant trying to fuck things around, and the other is a Leeway merchant trying to fuck things around.
Well, because you can see him later on in Leeway, but I think he goes to Leeway because that's where the wine goes through before it goes out anywhere else. He tells us that he calls it the Morn Winery.
This is Lando, okay.
Yeah, Lando. He tells us that, you can watch the shipment through there. So he left Mondstadt because of her, and I think he's still trying his little schemies down there. That's my understanding.
His little schemies.
Well, let's tell the story of Lando, and then I'll make my decision on if I'm going to talk separately about Alois.
Okay.
Yeah, her character, story 2 talks about the merchant from Snezhnaya who had an evil plot to ruin the land, destroy the winery business in Mondstadt altogether, and then seize the market with wines from Snezhnaya.
Yeah.
But I think the hangout one wasn't that merchant just trying to find the recipe of the dandelion wine or something like that.
Yeah, like he was trying to copy it to make it in Leeway, it seemed.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like a second.
Yeah, she's just always getting stuck in the wine industry.
So she saved the winery business twice?
Mm-hmm. D-Luke really owes her.
Shit.
It makes me wonder if, like, when they wrote the character story, like, or when they wrote her hangout, that it was supposed to be the same thing. But she's such an early character. It makes me wonder if, like, maybe this was like a sloppy moment that they never would have done later, where it was like supposed to be the same, but like maybe whoever wrote one of them put in different details or something. But
it's possible.
It is also just really funny to think that the same thing happened twice.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot going on with the wine industry in Mondstadt. I mean, it is like a big deal, it seems like.
Well, Tiff, why don't you go on and tell us about the Lando situation?
So we learn in her character story that she met this merchant who was traveling around like outside of Mondstadt, and he was on his way to Mondstadt, and like she ended up being nice to him, making the fire, like Fiend said earlier, cooking the food and doing all that stuff, and like she ended up kind of saying like, oh, I'm sure that this is what your schedule is, and this is what you're like. She makes a little stuffed animal for the daughter, like it's all sewn up, all pretty and cute and stuff, and he gets so like kind of like, why does she know so much about me?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't make any sense, that he gets freaked out because he's not a traveling merchant. He's actually trying to ruin the wine industry in Mondstadt and replace it with Shesnayan wine.
A.K.A. vodka.
Yes. And she feels all bad because she thinks she did something wrong because now he's not in Mondstadt. Like, he didn't go. Like, he was just like, oh, we got to leave. It's really quick. See ya. Thanks for the nice stuff. And he runs away with the family. You know, here she's just like, oh my God, I was such a bad host and all these things. She doesn't know that she actually thwarted, you know, his little evil plan. But his name is Lando, and you can go see him over at the Wangshan Inn, him and his daughter Tia. And when you talk to him, he says at that point says that he's from Mondstadt, but then calls it the Morn Winery instead of the Dawn Winery. And we're like, nobody from Mondstadt would ever get that wrong. And he's just like, you know, it's been ages since I've been back there, but did you know that they send all the wine through Leeway before it goes out everywhere else? And we're like, no, we didn't know that. And he's like, yeah, it's really interesting. So he's obviously trying his plans again.
Yeah.
We go over and ask the daughter. We're like, hey, bestie, what's going on? And she's just like, oh, hi, I'm here with my dad. He told me to tell strangers that he's a traveling merchant. Kids will always give you up. And she's like, but if you were my friend, I could tell you the truth. So we're like, well, how do we become your friend? And she's like, all you have to do is play with me. And we're like, okay, what do you want to do? And she's like, oh, well, I'm playing with these other kids right now.
Damn it.
It's like, oh.
Just to backtrack a little bit too, Tiff said that, like, you know, she scared them off, and like, Landa felt like she was reading his mind. Landa literally was like, this is my favorite dinner. This is my wife's favorite dinner. This is my daughter's favorite dinner. How did she know? Tia has to sleep with a doll every night, and hence why Noelle gave her the doll, he was like, what the fuck?
How did she know?
I just think she was being Noelle.
Yeah, like there was like little clues or something, probably. One, she knew that they're from, because he only says that he's from Mondstadt once he's in Leeway, but he says he's from Shesnaya, so she's probably like, oh, well, this is the most famous Shesnayan, just like food.
Here's your borscht.
Yeah.
She probably like went through his bag and was like, I'll do all of his laundry. And then was like, oh, look, a picture of his daughter.
Yeah, she stood up like above them while they were sleeping, just staring at them.
Yeah.
Now, also, you know, Tiff mentioned that he calls the Dawn Winery the Morn Winery. And so there's actually at the Wangshu Inn where you can find him and Tia, there's a notice board. And there's a notice that says that the Morn Winery has recently added new batches of high quality dandelion wine, red wine, apple cider, and more to our cellar. Come by and enjoy vintage wine. And there's a message left underneath it that says, the people of Leeway don't understand wine at all. Can't even get the name of the famous Dawn Winery right. So the assumption is that Landa is the one leaving that. Now we also later find out there's like a little like world quest with Landa. And we find out that Landa is very specifically working for the one, the only Pantalone. And there's actually a quest that you could do where he loses a bunch of his invoices that he's supposed to be giving to Pantalone, and he panics, and we go to find them. And we end up finding them with the treasure hoarder Boar. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but that's the female treasure hoarder that is like super badass. We see her kind of regularly. I think she's also involved in a daily in Leeway. And she eventually decides to give us the invoices, but she basically tells us not to look at them because we would be better off not knowing the information on the invoices.
Sus.
And we give them back to Landa. So that's Wine Industry Crusher number 1. Wine Industry Crusher number 2 is from her hangout. Now, as travelers know, hangouts have like 97 endings.
97?
Yeah, 97 to choose your own story. The whole thing is basically you run in the hangout in general is like you go to Noelle and she's trying to become a knight still. She's trying to train, blah, 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 blah. And there's like kind of 2 ways that it could go where you can either like, she tells you that she feels like she's like lacking, and you can either tell her that she's lacking in life or she's lacking in sleep. Which is like, what?
Ruin her dreams.
Yeah. There's another one where you could also tell her that, and it might be a different branch. It's been a while. But you can tell her, like, it's okay to not be a knight. And we end up offering to do some, like, small jobs with her. And that's when we meet Alois. Alois. Could be pronouncing it wrong. And he is a schemer trying to copy Dandelion Wine and bring it to Leeway. And there's 2 endings that you can get with him. One in which he ends up feeling terrible and how well Noelle treats him. And he's like, I'm evil. I'm trying to steal. He has a faith moment. I'm evil. I'm bad. Faith from Buffy, guys. Or he is like, this bitch is nice. And he takes advantage of Noelle and then he leaves. Then doesn't tell us the plan. So there is another guy. She doesn't necessarily thwart him, I guess, but she's involved with him.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get the dandelion wine.
And I bet Jean doesn't even know any of this happened.
Oh, no.
Would she make her a knight if she did?
That's what I'm wondering.
No, because all this is by accident. She doesn't even know she's doing any of this. Like, you're like, oh, does Jean know? First off, Jean definitely knows because Kaeya is watching Noelle, which means that, Mika might be watching Noelle, but someone is watching Noelle.
Kaeya's not even around half the time.
He's in the shadows.
No way.
Yes, he is. Noelle literally says that he is mysterious and that she often ends up helping him with errands, but that he just kind of shows up. She quote unquote says he comes and goes like the wind.
He probably just has Rosaria follow her around while he fucks around.
I mean, maybe.
Why not? What else is she doing? Smoking in the back of the church?
Following Albedo.
Yeah. I feel like the whole idea, though, that she has this, like, babysitter kind of as a way is, like, what else can you make? She's cleaning all your houses. Like, I mean, maybe she's cleaning the bar and he's hanging out with her there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I cleaned people's houses when I was a child. I'm just saying. My aunt would be like, come clean my house. I'll give you $20. And I was like, bet.
Oh, you got paid? I wonder if Noelle gets paid.
Oh my God. Noelle has to get paid for everything she does. At least get tipped. There's no way.
She gets tipped, all right.
Tipped off by Kaeya.
My first thought was, if Al was here.
Oh, no.
The way this would have went.
But, Noelle's hangout can go quite a few other ways. Now, she has 2 hangouts, technically, right?
Yeah.
I'm very confused by that. I've never seen that before.
My theory is just that the developers were in love with her.
Not in love with her to give her dreams.
Yeah.
No.
They don't like her that much. Well, I like in the one that has the wine potential thief in that hangout, one of the things that she does is we finally convinced her that she should take a rest, because that's also an important part of training is resting. And she goes, oh, well, that must be why Lisa takes all those afternoon tea breaks. And we're like, maybe that's not the same thing. But you need time off.
And we're like, no, Noelle, she's dying.
She spent a lot of money on her tea maker. Leave her alone. So as she goes, like, we're gonna go lay down and like kind of take it easy and stuff. She runs into Beatrice, who she refers to as B, and every time I hear it, it makes me laugh because I just imagine she's talking to you, B. She's distraught because she doesn't know how to get Quinn's attention and get him to take her on a date, or her take him on a date, whichever. She wants a date bad. So she asks Noelle for her advice on what she should do. And Noelle's like, oh, I don't know. I've never done something like that.
She's like, ma'am, I'm a child.
Yeah, literally.
One of the options is to give a gift to him. And we go down to Marjorie to go get a gift. And Marjorie, now thinking about it as her an adult, as Noelle being a child, was extremely inappropriate. And was like, oh, are you buying a gift for the honorary knight who you're here with? Because that's what you should do, because I think you'd like him, and la 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 la.
I mean, we also look like a child to a bit. You know, we're not that far off looking age-wise from her. We could look 18 if we've decided she's 17.
Yeah. But still, Marjorie's talking to a child like that and being like, oh, well, you don't have the experience in love like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
You've never talked to a teenager like, ooh, you're in love.
I don't talk to many teenagers, I guess.
Oh my God, I have a cousin who's, she's 18 now, but I've been saying that since she was like 16. I've been like, ooh, you flirting?
Even my cousins, when they were younger, I would always be like, oh, like, mainly it was, well, what kind of music you listening to nowadays?
I mean, I guess we have the same music tastes. So we go to the concerts together. So I already knew that. So I'd be like, who we dating today?
Meanwhile, Tiff is like, you're showing too much skin. Cover up them titties.
Yeah, when she comes out in a crop top, I'm like, yes, let's go.
As soon as you leave high school, you can show the titties as much as you want. But while you're in high school, the titties stay underneath the shirt. I have a rule. I'm okay with titties being out, but they just need to be of a certain age.
Good luck telling the teens of today that.
There are disgusting people out in the world. They need to be protected somehow.
You tell Gen Z that. Gen Alpha, they're not going to listen to that.
Yeah, they ain't going to listen to me. I'm an old lady.
They're going to literally put their titties out more.
Probably. I mean, but they're basically just going backwards in fashion. So who knows? Maybe they'll just keep going more back. We're at the 90s now, I think, repeating.
I do like the 90s trends.
Those high-waisted jeans, if they get any higher, they're going to be like tube tops.
Oh yeah, me. Literally me. I got called out the other day because I kept pulling my pants up too high. They were like, if you pull those pants up any higher, I was like, shut up. I like the high waist. Maybe I'm the problem.
But we do that. We help her with a gift for him. The other option is to make him some food. So we're like, go make him some grilled fish. And she's like, well, I do often say that I'm going to bring him lunch. And then we see her crying in a corner and she's like, I brought him the lunch and he said he wasn't hungry. And it was just like, just ask him out on a date. And then she's like, oh my God, if he says yes, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's a mess. But they're relying completely on Noelle fixing the situation. And she ends up in the telling us about how she reads all this stuff in the library and reads all these about love and how you can there's guides how to be in love, how to find a partner, all this stuff. And she gets a little oh, but maybe not this book. I was like, you just ran into the spicy section. I am almost positive she ran into Lisa's stash of smutty books because she's just like, oh, not this one. Oh, not this one. Oh, not this one. And it's like,
Tiff's they were smutty books. I'm like, it was about worm reproduction. And then she was like, whoa, this is weird romance. I don't know what's going on in this one.
Yeah, but even because the whole thing is that she talks about how she's so inexperienced and stuff. And, so she needs to know all these things. And we're just like, you need to calm it down. It's not that serious. You don't have to do research on it. One, you're going to be the matchmaker apparently in the town. They're just going to be like, here, go help these two people. But she also insults Quinn too, as she's like, oh, you mean one of the drunkards? That one? That's the boy you like?
I mean, he is a drunk. It's true. She's just spitting facts. Which, how are Beatrice and Noelle friends if Beatrice is in love with the drunk? I got a lot of questions. Everyone's just besties.
It's just everybody's
Mondstadt.
asking her for everything, no matter the age, nothing.
Yeah, I just noticed he smelled really good the last time I walked past him.
Yeah, because he
smells
smelled
like
like wine. So then there's like another option for this hangout, right? Where we decide to like help her train, and it can go one of two ways. One, we end up at like a mine something and a rock slide happens because of monsters, but we survive.
Mm-hmm.
And in the other one, we kind of have this realization that she is a great fighter until she's fighting against other people. And so we take her out to like fight hilly trolls somewhere, and we practice and she wins and we're like, yay.
Isn't she awfully concerned about the hilly trolls too, though?
Maybe she's a hilly troll.
Maybe. Who's the little girl who loves the hilly trolls?
Ella Musk.
Ella Musk, yeah. How old is that? Well, no, I'm not going to get into that Ella Musk conversation again.
Because Ella Musk has a younger sister who is an adult model.
Yeah.
It's so confusing.
Ella with her little pigtails and braids hanging out in the library all the time next to Imaginarium Theater.
And then going and singing to the hilly trolls.
I wonder if she's ever gone over to the Jade Chamber and talked to the hilly trolls over in the Shade Chamber. I'll have to ask them. Next time Beefy comes by Angel Share, we'll have to ask if she knows Ella.
You're like, who? But then what happens in like Noelle's second hangout? That one I'm not as versed in.
She's like studying for her knight's exam still, and then we go with her to Liyue and like help the Millilith. She helps a storyteller find inspiration there, and the traveler helps her prepare for her knight's test by taking the adventurer's entrance exam.
Oh, okay. Bennett must have been thrilled.
Yeah, and she goes on a scavenger hunt to find someone's missing monocle in Mondstadt, and Traveler and Noelle help out as servers for a day in Angel Share.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
This is a hangout that is for her?
Yeah, it's her second hangout.
I don't remember even seeing have I been like everybody else and ignoring Noelle so much? I've been ignoring my hangouts, that's for sure.
Jeez, Jean.
I know. I'm the problem.
But I think it's really interesting that Noelle ends up taking the adventurer's test because Bennett is like up her ass about how she needs to take that test. He thinks that she would be the top member of the Adventurers Guild and that she would climb the ranks so quickly if she would just join them instead.
I wish she would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, she's like appreciative of Bennett saying that, but she thinks that he's overreacting, and you know, she's like, I gotta stick to my dreams, Bennett.
Bennett boy.
Yeah, poor Bennett.
They would be a great pair because she could like take care of him while he's like having the worst luck ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She does. She takes care of everybody, which is one of the reasons why it's perfect that she's a Geo. She creates a shield. You know, it's fitting in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she might be mad that she's not Animo, but, you know, because she looks up to, like you said, Jean and Vanessa, and obviously doesn't love Venti. She loves the Animo version of
The Animo archive.
But she is an actual healer and stuff too, outside of the shield and things like that. So it makes sense that her personality kind of follows that. I like when that happens. There's a lot of intention in there.
Now, you know, we've talked a little bit about the characters that she has like some relationships with. And you guys mentioned earlier that she really thinks that Fischl is from another world. And she has two voice lines about Fischl. One is where she's like, yeah, she's from another world. But another one is that she's like always seeing Fischl reading. And so she'll bring her snacks. And Fischl's like very grateful for the snacks. And when she sees the book Flowers for Princess Fischl in the library one day, Noelle's first thought is that, wow, she knows a person who actually has a book based on them. You know, she's not like, oh, She's like, no, Fischl is the deal. Now, Noelle has two voice lines about Fischl. Fischl has no voice line about Noelle. It's a little fucked up. Not many characters have things to say about Noelle, despite her being the Wonder Maid. It's just Amber, Barbara, Bennett, Jean, Kaeya, Lisa, and Sucrose. Which we've covered most of them, right? But so Barbara thinks that she makes the best snacks, and she's so happy that those snacks are also healthy. And she suggests that Noelle has like a calming effect on people. Now, if you were to ask Noelle about Barbara, I think that she thinks Barbara sucks at singing.
Really? There's Barbara shade from Noelle?
So Noelle is like, yeah, like I enjoy to spend time with Babs. And when I'm with her, she'll like hum these tunes. And she goes, often she'll start humming a tune saying inspiration has come to her. I'm not the right person to give useful feedback on anything musical, but I still love spending time with Barbara. I think that's her being like, I can't really tell her that it sucks, so I'm just gonna hang out with my friend.
I hate the sound of it, but what do I know? I'm not into music.
Yeah, I'm just a maid. I don't, like, it's so sad. And then her and Sucrose, they have a little bit of beef, but Noelle again does not know about this beef.
Uh-huh.
So Sucrose is like, yeah, Noelle's great, but she makes me so fucking on edge. And she tells this whole story about how Sucrose was moving these boxes out of the alchemy lab, and she put them outside her door, and like she disappeared to go do whatever, I don't know, stalk Albedo, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And when she came back, Noelle had seen these boxes outside the lab and decided to be helpful and moved them back into the lab. Not realizing that Sucrose was trying to take them out. So Sucrose, I think, is a little neurotic and is like, you just stay away from me.
Yeah.
Stay away from my shit. Like, I don't even know how to socialize to begin with, and I can't deal with you. Otherwise, like, the Amber and Kaeya and Jean, they all think that she has a head on her shoulders. They think that she's an overworker.
And she really likes Amber, it seems like. It says that she looks up to Amber, that Amber taught her how to make a Baron bunny, which she keeps on her for good luck. I thought that was really cute.
Amber goes to Noelle when she can't find her washed hairbands, which I didn't even know people washed their hairbands. I
didn't know people did it on purpose. I do it accidentally all the time.
Oh, yeah. Normally they get showered on my wrist. That's how they get cleaned.
Yeah.
I was like, Amber, how many hairbands do you use? Like, how many do you go through in a week?
I mean, she has to have that bow just right.
Yeah, I guess maybe they mean her headband, because she doesn't wear a hairband. She doesn't have a ponytail.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
I was literally like, when she's like training and putting her hair up type of thing. But yeah, it's kind of sad. Those are the only people that really talk about her. Like, they don't even give Eula or Albedo, who are other chiefs, or captains, I should say, of the Knights. You would think even D-Luke would have something to say. Since she's so tied to the wine industry, it'd just be fun to see what he has to say about her. Even Klee doesn't have anything to say about her. And Klee's always like, they're the best. They're the best.
Everyone takes her for granted. I did love that Amber introduces Kaeya to Noelle when she's there visiting Mondstadt during Windbloom. And the two of them kind of bond over both being trainees. I thought that was cute.
Oh, yeah, that was. Windbloom had so many, like, nice little moments like that, except for the moment that we won't talk about.
Right. Except for that one.
Except for that one. There were so many nice little, like, you know, that's when we found out that Timaeus was dating the perfume lady, right?
The real perfume lady.
Yanger danger.
I think even there was a nice little moment with Rosaria in there, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
You just block that out.
Yeah, I remember Mona interacting with Timaeus, and like that's really where it all ends for me.
Well, because we were during Windbloom too, they were trying to like get like people to give answers for that like the mailbox and stuff too. So they talked to a lot of random people.
The whole thing was that Colleen and Sucrose were trying to solve a riddle of Windbloom. And so they were asking people like what they thought the answers could be, and they had a mailbox, and that might be the mailbox where I put the mail I don't want.
I feel like Kaeya and Sucrose need to bring Noelle into their little friendship.
Yeah.
Because they could all be very awkward together. It'd be very heartwarming. Although it seems like Sucrose is just a little too high strung to have Noelle anywhere near her.
Yeah.
I mean, she did lose a bunch of friends too, so.
Like, don't touch my shit.
That's what happened to the last group of friends.
No, they left on their own.
You don't know.
No.
Oh my God, the whole other world where Sucrose is this like evil genius who really like made everybody believe that her friends just left, but really they're like in the basement that we haven't been to since the manga.
Oh my god.
The one is just Naya?
No, the one D-Luke's basement.
Oh no, the cellar?
Is this your headcanon that Sucrose is a serial killer?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my god.
Maybe I should consider fanfic.
I mean, I'm always here for it. I've been reading a lot more 911 fics lately, but I'll go back to reading Genshin fanfic.
I mean, she does know a lot about anatomy.
That's true, because she's all about life.
She holds that little bone.
Oh yeah, she does. That's so creepy too.
That's her friend's bone.
Oh my god, that's her friend's bone.
That's her best friend's bone.
We cracked the case, you guys. We figured it out.
Oh, there's some sucrose lovers gasping.
Yeah. There's a sucrose lover out there right now who is like so mad.
Horrified. Yeah.
They're unfollowing, giving us a bad review. Like, how dare they?
We love sucrose. It's just an opportunity, an alternate ending.
We love her like Dexter,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they were evil. Maybe they were the ones getting the child soldiers.
They deserved it, yeah. One other fun factoid that I didn't realize, in Mondstadt, roses mean my lips are sealed. And so that's why she like has adorned herself with roses that she weaves out of fabric. Not like as like a symbol of love like we normally think of roses, but as a reminder to herself not to share any private information, because as any good maid would know, like they find out all kinds of secrets that people have. So she wears roses on her to remind herself not to spill any details or secrets about the Knights of Favonius to any outsiders or to other knights. So she knows all the dirt. That's probably the real reason that she's not getting promoted.
Yeah, they're like, we can't risk her getting kidnapped as a knight.
She knows all of it.
She knows all about Kaeya's stash of eye patches in Jean's office.
Isn't that like the most random thing?
It really is. And since our episode back then when we first talked about that, it sticks with me.
He probably leaves them on the floor. He probably just throws them around his room.
Oh my god, for all of his hookups.
Why does Jean have them then?
Well, when he starts to hook up with someone in the hallways, Jean just finds it. You don't know what else they're finding.
I mean, maybe it's one of the secrets is that Jean is sleeping with Kaeya.
Maybe.
I mean, stop. That's the ship I actually like.
Really? You like that one more than D-Luke?
Oh, it depends on the day.
Okay.
Because, like, I love the idea that D-Luke and Jean are, like, my headcanon when I write my OC's fiction with Nat is that D-Luke and Jean were actually dating prior to D-Luke leaving Mondstadt that first time after Krapus died. And so I love the idea that they might be slow burning back into a relationship. But I also love the idea that they weren't dating and that Kaeya and Jean were both abandoned by D-Luke and that they found comfort in one another.
Well, in the words of Al, ¿por qué no los dos?
That's, well, that suggests that D-Luke and Kaeya might be involved. And
no, they just share. They just share
Jean? Okay, I mean, if Jean's okay with that. As long as she's cool with it.
If she's fine with it, we're fine with it.
Barbara's like, Barbados, why? Well, my sister's with the cavalry captain and D-Luke. She runs away.
We may have found his cavalry.
No. No, his cavalry is just the eye patches. Anyway, I think it's time to check our mail because Rara heard that I was threatening to give her job to Albedo, and she's a little pissed at me. I told her I'd be nicer to her in the new year, and apparently I've lied. Just trying to give Albedo the bad mail so you don't have to deal with it. But we do have a few messages to answer today. Our first message comes from Aziram, and they said, hope all is well. I was to the moon, no pun intended, about your most recent Natlan episode. I also feel Fiends' rage about the balloons. You're telling me with how great of a blacksmith/craftsman Zelonin is, there wasn't any form of faster travel? I don't believe that for a minute. Rage aside, I do have a question as this happened to me. Did anyone experience any glitches riding the balloon? When I got to the segment where Paimon points out Kanich, all the dialogue stopped and I fell through the balloon.
Oh my god.
At first, I I thought it was just an awkward load time, but it respawned me at the beginning of the ride, and I think one of my characters died to the fall damage. Thankfully, it only happened once, but I was not thrilled to be back on that balloon.
Oh my God.
Wow. I don't remember that happening.
I did not get a glitch like that.
No, I'm sorry you did. But I'm sorry I laughed at it too.
I mean, it's basically like Paimon's like, Knich, and the traveler passes out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, he's here, the boy.
Just phases through the balloon. That's definitely glitchy as heck.
Yeah, I that didn't happen to me, although I did think there was a glitch at one point because I couldn't see the top of, like, I thought something was wrong that I couldn't see the top of the hot air balloon. I couldn't control it.
Yeah, it definitely felt clunky in a way, like with the angles and stuff.
It was clunky because we were on a fucking hot air balloon trying to get somewhere fast.
I know, why couldn't we just borrow Mawika's motorcycle?
Seriously.
Or, just be told, hey, go use the fucking Kukasaur or this, like one of the Saurians. Or, hey, just use a waypoint.
Yeah.
They don't know about the waypoints.
Mawika knows.
Mawika knows.
Anyway, I knew none of you had the glitch, but I wanted to make sure we shared the story because it made me laugh.
It was fantastic.
Thank you, Aziram, for your message.
Thank you.
Our next message comes from Rye, and they said, I have a question for you guys. What do you think the Abyss twin thinks of the war that just happened in Natlan? Because they're supposed to be the ruler of the Abyss, right? So were they involved somehow in the invasion? What is this going to mean for the twins' relationship if that is the case? Or is the Abyss in Natlan somehow different from the one ruled by Aether/Lumine? Gotta say, I'm really confused about that, so I'd be curious to know what y'all think.
It's a good question. I think it's important to remember that the Abyss Order, which our twin leads, isn't necessarily like the same thing as quote unquote the Abyss. Like the Abyss is the Abyss and it has all of these, monsters and whatever in it. Whatever you think the Abyss is. Me, I think it's the Sea of Quanta. But you can think whatever you want. The Abyss Order, there's a lot that we don't know about that. So I think of it as more just kind of like a controlled portion of abyssal monsters that have sort of decided to work for our twin.
Yeah.
I took the Natlan War as more just the Abyss period. But I think it is a good question to wonder if that was just the Abyss in general or was that the Abyss Order attacking?
And I think it's a question that has to be figured out still.
Yeah.
Because I think I agree with Brandon where my initial assumption is like, oh, this is like the Abyss as a whole. That it's like, I guess like the comparison is like the Abyss almost feels like an uncontrollable force, especially when you look at Conria lore, right? If you think back to our episode on Gold last week, where we talk about the monsters just showing up and everything like that. So you're taking this giant uncontrollable void realm, basically, of monsters, and you have a twink basically going in and being like, and if you're playing as Lumine, you have Twink Ether going in, like flipping his hair and being like, I'm in charge now. After, he got brought down the Harry tunnel. So, are you really going to get all the monsters on board for that? Do all of the monsters even really have a conscience like that?
I also think we need to know more about Gazoithoth.
Yeah.
Because that thing seemed to be controlling the invasion.
Yes. The circle thing in the sky, for those who don't know the official name.
It was like creating the portals and everything. But, it is a good question to think that like could the Abyss Order have been involved because it seemed so coordinated where they were all attacking at the same time and had, they were striking quickly because they knew Natlan was like in a vulnerable state. So there was definitely some kind of like organization to it. But since we didn't see our twin and we don't really know if our twin has a connection to Gazoithoth, I think it's kind of impossible for us to know yet. But I do think it's something worth thinking about. Let's
say for a second that we do find out that our sibling was involved in the war, in creating the war or letting the war happen. I think that would personally be a breaking point for the traveler that we play as.
I hope so.
How can you continue at that point to think that your sibling is good, right? Especially when we don't remember meeting our sibling during Kari Bear. So like we don't really necessarily have good memes of our sibling anymore in the last 500 years at least.
Oh, right, right.
So, I think if I were Lumine and I found out that my brother tried to kill all these innocent people
And did kill a bunch of them.
and did kill, and especially in my world because I didn't do great. Like
I was stuck on that damn balloon for a little too long.
they wouldn't let me get off, and I was like, I want to go see Kanich, and they wouldn't let me. So I think that would be a breaking point for the Traveler. And on a back end, the Traveler doesn't necessarily know this, right? But we feel like we're being forced to go on the same journey as our sibling, right? So if that's the case, I mean, we should be breaking the cycle. And I feel like if we saw our sibling being evil like that, we would be like, okay, I no longer want this person. I am done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because while it is a long amount of time, for us, it's not as long because we just like woke up out of that little brick that we were in. So if the game came out, is it 4 or 5 years now?
4.5. Or a little over 4, a little over 4.
Yeah, so if the game is like 4.5 years, that's all the Traveler has lived. They were talking to the Heavenly Principles. The next thing they knew, they were fishing Paimon out of a puddle.
Yeah.
So I think like if we found out that he or she, sorry, Brandon, was the reason why this war was happening, I think we would totally have different feelings about them. But I feel like there would be a little bit more of a conflict in that point because it's like, but we would still want to understand, like, but why?
Right.
Why do you think that they're the good guys? Like, look at what you just did.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Exactly. I think it was really important, Rye, that Brandon pointed out the difference between the Abyss and the Abyss Order. But I do think, if the Abyss Order was involved, it would definitely affect the trajectory for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot worse than just what happened in the chasm.
Yeah. Like they were at least trying to save technically people in the chasm from our understanding.
Right.
So it's a big deal. But thank you for the question, Rye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We do have one more question, and it comes from Kimiko. And Kimiko said, would you make a contract with a How?
Hell no.
Why?
Because I'd have to hear that annoying voice all day. He's too annoying. I couldn't handle it.
Too?
I love him. But I don't know okay. So 2 sides. I love a How. I think he's hysterical. I love the whole little relationship. But yeah, if I had to hear it all the time, would I be like, get the fuck out of here? Or would I appreciate it?
You can lock him away.
Yeah, I think that's why Kanich constantly has him locked away.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes too much of a good thing is too much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I'd do it. I like a How a lot. I think that me and him would have a good time going back and forth. And I like to think that, my body would be going to something good in the end.
Is it good?
What if he turns out to be like the big baddie?
Yeah.
That's fine. He can have my body. Well, maybe I'll kill him beforehand, type of thing. Before he gets my body, if I find out he's the baddie.
You're just like, it sounds like chaotic fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a chaotically great time. And I could lock him away. And you know what it kind of makes me think of? It makes me think of Angel from the Buffyverse in the Angel show. Dennis, the ghost that lives with Cordelia.
Phantom Dennis. Oh, we love you, Phantom Dennis.
It adds a little bit of fun, right? Like for people who don't watch Angel or Buffy, Cordelia, one of the characters, she moves into an apartment that is haunted by this guy, Dennis. And Dennis will just like randomly like turn the TV off or do this or do that. And sometimes he helps Cordelia.
He'll like scoot a box of tissues over to you and you're crying.
Yeah. No, a How wouldn't do that. But he would probably like chuck a razor at me. I don't know. Like he'd do something.
He would try to kill you.
He'd try to kill
so he can steal your body.
Yeah.
But he also has like respect for like he has respect for Kanich. When Kanich gets his vision in the Night Warden wars or whatever they're called, like he is like, yo man, you almost died. I thought I was gonna get your body, but then you lived. You're stronger than I thought. So
but what if he had a pep on his speed dial? and then she's going to come and eat your body.
Well, no, but how wouldn't let that happen? Because
What if
then
he
he
has-
would get
because
my
then
body.
he wouldn't have the body.
What
yeah.
if he has sucrose on speed dial?
I mean, it all depends. How needs my body, guys? That's the issue. Like the whole contract is that how needs my body to be workable. So maybe he paid for all my doctor's appointments.
Maybe.
I don't know how. I'm sure he has Mora. He's a dragon lord, apparently. I do love him and Moeka together too. He respects the shit out of her, which is great.
And she's like, can it?
Yeah, when he was in the fucking ice bucket, I died. I was like, this is so funny. Milani's like, he's ruining the ice bucket. I was like, oh my God. And then they locked him in a box. And Moeka was like, I got this. Boxed him up.
One of my favorite things, we mentioned it in the Not Long episode, is when, because of the unfortunate strike that's going on, there was a lot of voices that weren't heard. And there's a point in the Not Long where they're like, where Paimon says, can you shut him up? I'm like, yes, you can. And she's like, yay. She's all excited that he can't talk. And it's like, oh, she wasn't talking the whole time.
He was literally on mute this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, Kimiko, for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all the time we have for today, travelers. If you like this episode, like I said, you can feel free to email us at talesoftevatpod@gmail.com and let us know what you think, or let us know what topics you'd like to see in the future. If you didn't like this episode, please hand all letters handwritten to Albedo when you find him. And if you want to connect with us, you can feel free to follow us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, Twitter, Tales of Teyvat, or on Threads or Blue Sky, where we're Tales of Teyvat or Tales of Teyvat Pod. Additionally, you can feel free if you're 18 and over and you know, not a possible adult like Noelle, but a definite adult like Jean. You can join our Discord server that we have in collaboration with the Shade Chamber podcast. You can join there at bit.ly/Shades of Teyvat. No spaces, no caps. And we have a really awesome community there. People ask some of the Kirara mail questions there. We have some discussions about the episodes, Star Rail, other games, Fortnite. People could share their art. It's a really awesome collaborative space. So if you are 18 plus, please feel free to join. You can also feel free to check us out on Ko-fi, where we do have a small merch shop, and you can buy us caffeine. And all the proceeds of that go to the web hosting, the editing softwares, and everything else that we need to keep the podcast running. And next week, we're going to be talking about our favorite gal that just got a new fit, or I should say one of our favorite gals that just got a new fit, because there's two. We're going to be talking all about Chef Mao Zhongling with a special guest. So make sure to check it out. Till then, safe journeys, travelers. We will see you next time.
Bye, poetry nerds. Roses are red, violets are blue. Jean's a dick, and I ate too much food.
Whoa. I was like, roses are red.
That was A+. A+.
I keep seeing